It looks like we're live. Are we live already? Welcome everyone back into Crypto's News. It's me, Omar Bam, aka Crypto. Been doing this for a while, talking about what's happening in cryptocurrency today to make sure that you stay informed and on top of what's happening with the markets, with gossip, rumors, news, sentiments, etc. And so today we're going to be starting off a brand new week. As you can see, crypto prices still relatively flat. We actually had quite a crazy weekend after Friday, right? I mean, it's been a no man's land when it comes to prices. We had at one point Ethereum dropping below the support at 1450 like a knife. It just went straight through to 1423 ish. Now it's recovered somewhat, as you can see, at around 1535. Let's refresh actually. It's up 8% over the last 24 hours. Well, that's good. We've recovered 8% of nothing since we've dropped off quite a bit. But yeah, it's at 1558 actually right now, and Bitcoin is at 20,326, up 3.2%. It's over 20,000. Although it dropped below that, it was at around $19,500. So been interesting to see kind of the merge narrative die away. I think, like I've said before, that was a lot of what was keeping crypto going up. But we had the Federal Reserve come out Friday. We talked about Jackson Hole. We had Jerome Powell coming out and reading speeches and scaring markets, talking about how pain is going to be coming. And what tends to precede the other markets is crypto. So yeah, it's kind of trading ahead of things, and saw a lot of pain, of course, going into this week. But maybe things are going to recover somewhat. I believe this week we're going to be getting a jobs report, and that's going to be what folks are going to be looking at. If things look grim, that could mean the Fed has to announce that they're not going to be tightening as quickly, and then that would boost markets. But whatever, we're still a ways off from the Bitcoin halving as well. I think that could be something that drives narrative. Although I have to wonder whether it's going to be as impactful as the last halvings that we've had. I suppose time will be telling with that. One coin that is down a lot on the week. The only coin that's down double digits. What's up, Podhead? Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. The only coin that's down double digits, as you can see, down 15.6%, is this token called Avalanche, AVAX. I actually had the founder on this channel a while ago. I think it was back in like 2018 or 2019, probably. And he is at the mercy of the crypto Twitter. Now he's got a bullseye painted on him right now because there is a site called Crypto Leaks, and they've taken the time to write out an article that is kind of picking on him and picking on this law firm called Roche Freedman, which is suing a bunch of projects to draw attention away from Amin Goon's project Avalanche. So basically, as those projects are getting sued, everyone is ignoring Avalanche. And who is suing them? Well, on behalf of plaintiffs, Roche Freedman. And so there's a possible, according to this Crypto Leak, psychopathic lawyer who's practicing litigation to try to basically bully and intimidate and distract away from Avalanche, and that could be what's driving down the price. We'll look at that article in a minute. That's really what everyone is talking about today. Looking at the Bitcoin price here. Yeah, I don't know if you guys, you guys can see the entire chart there. As I said, we're still bouncing off here. We haven't dropped below the recent lows. I guess, what is this, in June? I don't know how recent that is, but yeah, in the summer when we got really, really smacked down to the lows, we haven't broken those yet. So maybe Bitcoin is trying to set itself up for higher lows here. I mean, I am seeing higher lows. So that could be a sign that we have established a market bottom. You have some commentators out there believing, in fact, that we've hit a bottom. I don't know about that. It could be the case. How much can the Fed tighten before breaking something? Maybe crypto's trying to stay ahead of this. Of course, you have others who are saying, I mean, like Robert Kiyosaki, the huge market crash is coming, although we've been having it, right? You've had gold and silver down, you've had stocks down, you've had crypto down. We've been in a kind of market crash across the board. So there will really, the ultimate thing is as to whether there is a credit freeze and real issues with that. I don't think the Federal Reserve would allow for some sort of scenario where loans are just not being issued and money just freezes, because that would cause a lockup of the whole system, of their system, and I don't think they would want that. So I don't know what that number ultimately is, but I think cryptos are trying to formulate some sort of bottom here. It does appear to be like the case with Bitcoin, since it hasn't really dropped off the floors and we are still making higher lows. So that's really the positive thing here. But for the most part, we're trading sideways. We had a nice run up recently, but got smacked back down. Still a higher low though. And looking at Ethereum, I guess the most bearish thing I could imagine for Ethereum right now would be that the merge hype completely dies away, or you have these traders who bought Ethereum prior to the merge around September 15th and they decide to sell off. I think a lot of the selling probably has taken place. A lot of the fears around Ethereum are technical risk. Are they able to pull off the merge successfully? Is there going to be some sort of issue there? Will I try to front run other sellers who would sell before me? I think that's really the big trade here. And so I think that as we kind of stopped going up so directly, I think the weaker hands, or those who are trying to sell, probably already sold a good amount at this point. But there is the potential for more to the south side. I'm just looking at, like, for example, if I go to the 4-hour chart, yeah, it's hard to tell, for example, that we have indeed flipped around and have started going more bullish. Although on the 4-hour, actually, it looks like the 200-day moving average is crossing above. So maybe that is something quite bullish. And I'm wrong on that one. Certainly on the 15-minute chart, it looks more positive there. Oh, well, this is a better way to look at it. Point being, it's hard to say. I mean, even though the RSIs, if we're looking, they're around 50. It's at a 45 for ETH, which I wouldn't say is a buy territory. Strength-wise, we're not seeing a lot of buying or a lot of selling at this point. We're really going to have to wait for more directional confirmation to tell what's going to be happening with these prices. But what's up, Validator? ETH, yo, yo, yo. Nice to see you, Kevin. So we had an article actually come out. I didn't pull it up here, but that was, I believe, on Friday or Saturday. It was posted on the Bankless newsletter. Bankless, these Ethereum guys do great write-ups. Check it out for yourself. But they posted a piece that was talking about what if the Ethereum merge is overhyped? What if it is fully bought in and oversubscribed? And I thought it was a great piece to look at how it could be the case that some of the things that we're expecting for Ethereum to keep it moving up just might not be the case. How we basically had this fee burn, for example, with Ethereum that was implemented with Ethereum Improvement Proposal 1559, and how it resulted when it came online in a lot of fees that were paid to the Ethereum network being burnt away and unable to be used. And they were a lot of fees, but that, we were taking some of those calculations and projecting into the future that amount of fees would continue to be burned, when it was unlikely to be the case, especially when you had DeFi just so hot back then. You had NFTs so hot back then that caused a lot of demand for the network. I was willing to pay a huge network fee, $100 plus, to get this in on Uniswap or whatever, because I'm expecting my liquidity position to make me even more than that, or whatever yield farming, I don't know, agricultural landscape I was using. I was expecting to make me more than the fees were that I was paying. And so I was willing to front that, and that was resulting in a huge amount of fees being burnt. But projections were that would continue, and that's just not the case. So there's a lot in that. I would check it out for yourself. It's always good to be balanced. You don't want to be super bullish or super bearish, of course, without some sort of data to look upon or looking at both sides. Just objectivity as an investor tends to be the good way to go. So I would check out the Bankless website, and that was a free article that they had put up, so that might be worth taking a look at. There was pushback from the community on a lot of different points there, but I would encourage you to take a look for yourself, since I'm not just trying to pump it and be like, yo, ETH to the moon. I don't know where it's going to go over the longer term. If we can find continued use for the blockchain like everything else, then that could result in more fees, for example, being burnt. Staking, I still think that's one of those other points that they were not able to refute, is that staking is, well, actually, yeah, that staking will moving to proof of stake. I'm sorry, moving to proof of stake will be likely quite a bullish thing, since you just have less being sold out to miners who are willing to sell right away. I don't know what percentage of the mined ETH are sold, but that is basically going to be going away completely. There's going to be a token lockup. But for the Ethereum price, I think it could be somewhat troubling, this token lockup. That's something that's being talked about a lot right now, is that after we move past this merge era, once we get the merge, the next thing to be looking at in the horizon is the Shanghai upgrade for Ethereum, which is when tokens that are currently staked for Ethereum 2.0 are going to be available for withdrawal, and that could be 6 to 12 months away. There's no hard date yet. It could be 2 years away for all we know. Hopefully that's not the case, so people get access to their ETH. There is a big push to actually get people access to that ETH quicker so they can move if they're using some sort of centralized staking provider from this, or decentralized staking provider, right? They can move from Coinbase to Rocket Pool. If they don't like what Coinbase is doing with their ETH, if withdrawals are enabled, they could go and stake them somewhere else. And that being good for the health of the network, the decentralization of the network. I do like that narrative, so we'll probably get that sooner rather than later. It's already being developed in parallel to the merge right now, so it's not like we have to hit the merge and the developers start on the withdrawals. All right, guys, so how do we start withdrawals? No, they're already working on that. But that, again, is something that is drawing some fear, because you're going to have this percentage of all the ETH that are currently staked right now. I believe it's between 5 and 10%. I believe it's closer to 10% right now that's staked. I don't have the hard number in front of me, but that suddenly being available and liquid, that is what we'd have to look forward to, and that means that it could be sold, and so we would be in a bearish kind of atmosphere. So what you have with the Fed going on right now, you don't really have anything major with Bitcoin, like a halvening coming up, and then you have these tokens being unlocked for ETH being a situation where we could be in a more negative crypto macro scenario after the merge. So I'm just trying to present that side to, of course, keep things balanced. I am not fully in ETH, but I still have what I've staked there. Technically, I could sell them right now. A lot of what I staked, like I said, I don't run my own node. I move a lot. Probably will have to move again soon. So for me, it made sense at the time to stake through Coinbase. And Coinbase has issued their token now. You can basically take your ETH that's locked there, wrap it up, and sell it if you felt like for like a 10% hair loss. I could do that, but I'm comfortable right now because in the event that all of these triple halvening things do take place and Ethereum becomes quite bullish, I mean, we've been in a lot of FUD territory recently. Things shift rather quickly in crypto. People might try to front run the halvening, which is coming up eventually at some point, or some other narrative could happen that I'm not even aware of. Some other use case for Ethereum pushes things up. Generally, it's better to be in these things rather than out of them. You make more money by being in the market, right? Time in the market beats trading the market, or timing the market. So we'll see what happens with that. What's going on, everybody? You heard that there are Lambos on the moon. Yeah, there are Lambos for everyone on the moon. And you know what's really cool is that Lambos on the moon fly, or they seem to fly, because there's no gravity to bring us back down to Goblin Town. What's up, Renee? Nice to see you. Always nice to see you. So this is the big article today by Crypto Leaks. This is their third case, they say. I'm not sure who runs it. As far as I know, they're anonymous, although they do take sponsors. There's no list of like sponsors. You can whistleblow to them, they say. So basically you can send them videos, you can send them articles, stuff that you might hear, and they'll maybe generate some sort of case like this one here, which is titled Ava Labs Avalanche Attacks Solana and Cons the SEC in Evil Conspiracy. Evil with bot law firm Roche Freedman. In his rush to hurt competitors and distract regulators from his actions, Amin Gun-Sir is harming everyone in blockchain. So they talk about how their videos have been collected with applicable laws. These are spy videos. They have basically two sets of videos of one of the founders of Roche Freedman. Roche, they have Kyle, he is the founder of it. So Kyle Roche basically had two sessions. I don't know who exactly he was talking to, but he said a lot that makes, in my opinion, him look bad, and maybe even Amin, who had been the creator of this token called Avalanche, starts as a snowflake, eventually will become an avalanche, basically trying to get proof of stake before Ethereum out there, someone who had taught at Cornell University and used that credibility to become quite a name in the crypto space. But he also did things like call out the DAO and talking about how the DAO could be hacked and publishing information on that, and the hacker actually using that information to hack the DAO, the recursive exploit that resulted in a lot of ETH basically being lost. But yeah, anyway, he's been in crypto for some time. And like I said, I had the opportunity to even interview him around the Avalanche launch. So he is currently the target of this. I don't know. Should we take a look at it? I guess we can look at some of it. Ava Labs is an American for-profit company that develops and promotes the Avalanche blockchain, which recently raised substantial funding in collaboration with Three Arrows Capital, the failed hedge fund. Surely you remember, we've been talking about it for some time now, that has been accused of acting like a Ponzi scheme. It is led by CEO and founder Emin Gun Sir and claims to employ more than 150 people. The Avalanche network currently has a fully diluted market capitalization of more than 16.5 billion USD. Roche Freedman, on the other side of this token, so to speak, is a law firm that widely sues people in crypto, currently running at least 25 class action lawsuits, including against Binance, the crypto exchange, and Ava Labs competitors like Solana Labs and the Definity Foundation, ICP, the Internet Computer Protocol. It is led by founding partner Kyle Roche and employs more than 30 lawyers. So by no means are they a small law firm. They've become one of the more influential ones in crypto just because of the amount of cases that they've had. And they're high-profile cases in crypto as well that have gotten substantial coverage from the crypto news media. We can reveal that for several years they have been operating according to an extraordinary secret pact that harms the crypto industry and has a nature so perverse that it undermines the integrity of the American legal system. Some years ago, the blockchain company Ava Labs and American law firm Roche Freedman made a deal. A pact was formed that involved Ava Labs granting Roche Freedman a massive quantity of Ava Labs stock and Avalanche cryptocurrency AVAX, now worth hundreds of millions of dollars, in exchange for Roche Freedman agreeing to pursue a hidden purpose. Apparently, Roche Freedman is still getting an allocation of tokens and perhaps even equity in Ava Labs to this very day, although that's been denied. In a shocking series of video recordings shared by this case investigation, Kyle Roche himself now reveals the exact nature of their ongoing operations. The case is highly disturbing. Ooh, I don't know. I can think of a few things that disturb me a little bit more than this, but the language, the drama in nature. This eventually even results, you'll see, in Craig Wright being targeted by Roche Freedman. Kyle Roche does not like BSV. He does not like Bitcoin Satoshi Vision. Oh man, we get into all sorts of stuff, even Ripple here, and how they're involved possibly. Brad Garlinghouse, one of the founders of Ripple. We can reveal that the pact directs Roche Freedman and their leader, Kyle Roche, to one, use the American legal system gangsta style to attack and harm crypto organizations and projects that might compete with Ava Labs or Avalanche in some way. Two, sue crypto industry actors, generally with the aim of creating magnets for regulators such as the SEC and CFTC to distract them from the highly commercial nature of Ava Labs and the Avalanche blockchain. And three, secretly pursue Emin Gun Sir's personal vendettas against individuals. I don't know about, I guess individuals, yeah, they get into Craig Wright and some other poor bloke in Turkey who had talked some smack about Goon, who eventually was arrested. That part is quite interesting. As usual, Crypto Leak brings you the hard evidence that nobody else can obtain. We explain with the help of words spoken by Emin Gun Sir's own lawyer, Kyle Roche. So this is where it gets quite juicy. And it does get juicy because, like I said, there are about 2 sessions of videos here, of spy videos, which expose Kyle Roche. I'm being slightly facetious, Kyle, if you're watching this. I don't want to be sued, although I probably don't have enough to be sued. I should be a multi-billion-dollar crypto project to be sued. But yeah, no, everybody's talking about this and really dissecting these videos and giving some sort of commentary right now. That's the main thing happening on Twitter, crypto Twitter, if you open it up. What's up, Juan? Hola hermano, me alegro que esté bien, gracias hermano. Deseo mucho éxito en tu nuevo canal, gracias. Que Dios te bendiga hoy, mañana y siempre. Lo veo de vez en cuando, aunque no entiendo nada. Gracias bro, por el idioma. Juan de Jesus. Oh, that's Juan de Jesus. Thank you. Oh, I love you, bro. He's basically saying he doesn't understand much of what I say in English, but he watches anyway and supports, and he's excited to see the channel doing well. Thank you so much, Juan. That's so much love, man. I'm sending you through the screen all the love in the world, and to the rest of you as well who support the show. It's just nice to be able to come out and chat crypto and explore what's happening y hablar de todo lo que está pasando un poquito en crypto, pero tú sabes, solo que tú estás viendo me manda un mensaje muy bonito de tanto amor y me llena de alegría. Gracias, hermano. So anyway, yeah, these videos get really good when you get to the second segment, because that is when Kyle Roach starts drinking some wine. He starts knocking a few back, and that's when he starts really letting loose. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, apparently, and really these videos are just proof backing up some of what's said in this article. But yeah, here we go. So in August 2019, the newly formed law firm Roche Freedman moved into a co-working space with Ava Labs. Ooh, an evil merger here in the background. The for-profit company develops and promotes the Avalanche blockchain. Pretty sure that Roche Freedman is for profit too.
So I start my law firm August, move into co-working space August 2009, August 1, 2019. The same day Ava Labs launches on the same co-working space. Goon and I knew each other because of academic writing, and so Goon, immediately the first thing, Goon Sires, the CEO of Ava Labs.
So I just thinking here, it's smart of them that they didn't put these videos up on YouTube, because a powerful law firm, you're trying to go up against them right now, it seems, Crypto Leaks. You're going to put up your videos on YouTube. They could get taken down for whatever reason. And so I think it's smart that they're hosting this themselves. Can I download this? I can. Pretty cool. Big Money establishes a secret pact in exchange for Roche Freedman providing what Kyle calls legal services. I mean, what other services would they really be? That's what they do. This article is a little crazy. I was just going to say, I'm not taking it all at face value. I'm going to say that right now. And again, some of the language they use and the way they phrase it seems like they have their own grievance to settle here. Anyway, Ava Labs granted them massive amounts of AVAX, the Avalanche blockchain's tokens, Ava Labs Corp stock. Ava Labs holds AVAX for founders and investors. Kyle Roach says he was the very first person to receive Ava Labs stock after Andreessen Horowitz, one of the biggest venture capitalists in crypto, provided the initial funding.
Kevin Seknicki's the COO, Emma Goonsider's the CEO. There are 5 employees in a co-working spot right next to us. Goon, we did a deal where I agreed to provide legal services in exchange for a certain percentage of the token supply. That was September 2019. And
so you worked originally with Ava Labs at an early stage?
The earlier. I was the first. Besides Andreessen Horowitz, I was the first person on their capital.
So if Ava Labs was flush with cash, having just received investment from Andreessen Horowitz, why did they need to pay for legal services in this way? I don't know. That's what people do. They pay until we're creating the future of money here, so we're using it as money. The answer is that they were not paying for normal legal services. The massive payments of AVAX and Ava Labs stock established a secret pact. This was so unusual that it required the grant of assets that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars today. Kyle boasts he has a full point, so I assume they're talking about a full percentage point here on AVAX and Ava Labs stock.
Obviously, I'm biased. I have an interest in Ava Labs.
And you have a stake in Ava Labs?
Yes.
How big?
A big one. I did very well.
So how big?
What?
I mean, your big friend, so big.
I've got about around a point on the token supply and the equity.
Okay, so both in token and
both on the token and the equity. Yes.
It's weird because the person asking these questions appears to be, I don't know if they're using some sort of voice masker, or they did that after this was recorded, but their voice is a little bit sketchy. There's a kind of accent there. I'm not entirely sure who was asking this. why is this interview taking place in the first place? It seems, like, was he not aware that maybe he was saying some sketchy stuff as we get on through here? I don't know. Kyle says he has about a third of what Kevin Seknicki, the CEO, has, who is a co-founder of Ava Labs, the chief operating officer. Kyle says that he helps control the AVAX token supply and helps Ava Labs with regulation issues and competitors.
You make sure that you unlock some tokens, you unlock some part of that, and because they're controlling all that.
Correct.
And
helping them control that.
You help them control that. And they understand that if it's not handled by you, there will be regulation issues,
Correct.
which is, problematic. And they know that they need to keep you happy.
Correct. I am happy.
And they're actually happy.
Yes.
But again, you help them out in many situations.
Yeah.
And you solve things with competitors and others.
Yeah.
And they should also be fair with you.
They have been fair with me.
More than what they'd probably be.
Potentially. Here's my thing, at the end of the day. I got a third of what Kevin got. So, for me, that's fair.
He got paid, so that's fair. Not bad. Kyle refers to Emin by his nickname Goon. I don't think he's using the nickname Goon. I'm pretty sure that's just how you pronounce his middle name, Goon, right here. So I don't think he's calling him like a goon. He's a goonie. What a big goon. It's more like gun, but pronounced goon. Anyway, he says he trusts Goon and Kevin like brothers. I mean, that's what just goes to show me that these crypto leaks people have some sort of bias. Not that this isn't wrong. Again, some of this looks like it is legitimate. Why would Kyle say some of this stuff? A lot of the evidence does check out, but it does appear that at least Avalanche has an enemy for sure. Maybe even have built some up that are interested in crypto leaks here. So he says he trusts Goon and Kevin like brothers, and they have the same interests even.
Is this a relationship that is going to go for a long time?
Goon and Kevin I trust like brothers.
So, same interests, same goals.
That's very important for us because
As the conversation progresses, the truth about the pact begins to emerge. Kyle confirms that they litigate against, sue, other parties in crypto as a strategic instrument to support Ava Labs to a level where they made him an equity partner. So owning like a piece of Ava Labs, the company, basically like stock in the company. Kyle says, and plus he got tokens. Kyle says litigation is an underused tool. This is some of the juicy stuff, although he gets into more of that later again when he's drunk. Kyle describes participating in the pact as a completely different way than being a lawyer.
I think litigation is an underused tool by everyone. Because if you're going to...
Underused tool.
You have to use it in a different sector than being a clerk providing litigation service. What you did, you use it as a strategic instrument to support our labs also.
Correct.
On a level where they appreciate you and turn you into an equity.
Correct, yeah.
That's a brilliant way of using it.
Yes.
It's a completely different way than being a lawyer.
It's a completely different
Because a
way.
lawyer,
Kyle Roche moved to Miami for tax purposes. I don't know why he puts that in quotations. I mean, yeah, I guess he said it's quotable, but a lot of people move to Florida for that purpose. He moved in with Kevin Seknicki, Ava Labs CEO, reflecting just how tightly the organizations work together. In the years since he moved, Kyle Roche has failed to update his LinkedIn profile, which still lists his location as New York City metropolitan area, which is a more prestigious place to locate a law firm. Naturally, Kyle's profile makes no mention of Avalanche or Ava Labs. Behind this elaborate smokescreen, Kyle is working from Miami with two key objectives: to increase the price at which he can sell his AVAX tokens, pump it up, and Ava Labs stock, and to reduce the amount of tax he pays when he sells.
I just moved to Miami for tax purposes. I'm living with Kevin right now. Kevin's CEO.
Harvesting confidential information. As the Yeah, this is all kind of dodgy. And then the response from Amin today, which we'll look at later, I believe. We got time. It doesn't really make me feel any better about the situation at all. It doesn't really make him look any good. It wasn't like a bam, 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 point by point refutal. It just In fact, CryptoLeaks has a Twitter handle, and they have even more stuff to share on Twitter that you can check out. That it's just not looking great for Amin's reputation right now. So as the conversation continues, the first signs of the perverse nature of the secret Ava Labs / Roche Freedman pact begin to emerge. Kyle reveals that he started as a crypto expert for Ava Labs. But how you might ask, could a lawyer be a crypto expert for a company that develops and promotes a blockchain? Kyle reveals the answer. He can contribute a special kind of expertise and knowledge, which he explains has been able to obtain because I sue half the companies in the space. In the US, when you sue an individual company, you can demand access to their This is shady AF. If you thought what we saw before was dodgy, this is dodgy. In the US, when you sue an individual company, you can demand access to their confidential accounts, commercial data, email and social media communications, and more using a special legal process known as discovery. This has resulted in him seeing the insides gutted of every single crypto company. Kyle boasts that being able to collect information this way has resulted in him becoming one of the top 10 experts in the world on crypto. If a blockchain company could unfairly gain access to confidential information of others, they could use it as a powerful competitive tool. It seems that Kyle sharing this special expertise with Ava Labs was one of the key factors that convinced Amin Gunsire to make the pact. Until proven otherwise, we must assume that Ava Labs may have even directed Roche Freedman as to what confidential information they should harvest from the industry. It isn't clear how much confidential information Ava Labs has obtained, but the potential for extreme wrongdoings is very concerning. Naturally, you can be sure that during discovery against a target, Roche Freedman automatically demands the identities of the investors, contractual agreements with partners, customer lists, payroll details, and information about every other kind of financial transaction related to the organizations that they are. Oh, we got a typo. Transaction. Hey, CryptoLeaks, we got a typo. Related to the organizations they are litigating against and their founders and executives. They will also ask for complete email, Slack, and other communication histories, which provide them with a treasure trove of information valuable to a competitor, including even technical insights. How do I make the world's best blockchain? The many crypto industry participants who have been litigated against by Kyle Roche must now question exactly how much of their confidential data is now in the possession of Ava Labs executives. Yeah.
It was like Ava Labs is like crypto expert in the beginning as well. So because I sue half the companies in the space, I know where this market is going. I believe better than one of the top 10 people in the world. I've seen in the insides of every single crypto company.
Roche Freedman runs litigation against numerous people and organizations in the blockchain industry. A favorite method to sue them is to initiate class actions. Several months ago, Kyle Roche claimed to be running more than 25 class actions. Information! Kyle Roachman freed class action. Roche Freedman class actions. In their American class actions, they propose a class of people who they claim have been harmed, for example, because they lost money trading a cryptocurrency. They then created a lawsuit in their name, for example, claiming that the cryptocurrency is an illegal security, and that therefore that those developing or promoting the blockchain involved or those running crypto exchanges that enable them to trade the cryptocurrency are liable for the losses of everyone in the class. In the United States, they only have to find one person willing to be a representative plaintiff for the class to initiate action. There you go. When they create class actions and other litigations against Ava Labs, competitors, and crypto industry participants, Kyle Roche has revealed that Roche Freedman often has two hidden purposes, surreptitiously causing harm to a competitor. If there are two horses competing in a race, and you can hack at the leg of one, the other will win. Their horses, Avax and Ava Labs stock. Initiating class action against their competitors can harm in multiple ways, and they have secretly weaponized the legal system to do this. Even when they can make only a weak case such that with high probability they will lose the litigation, this can still harm their targets, greatly profiting them. Moving the price of AVAX by only a small amount by harming competitors can produce big gains for them when they make sales from their huge hoard of AVAX tokens and Ava Labs stock. Ava Labs is not ever named as the litigant. The class of plaintiffs is disgusting. What is really going on? 2, luring regulators, including the SEC and the CFTC, away from Ava Labs. Go look at them, not at me. They often litigate against competitors in ways that make them look guilty of regulatory transgressions, running afoul of the law. Directing the attention of regulators toward competitors can cause further great harm to them, but also serves to lure regulators away from Ava Labs and their ravenously commercial behavior, which regulators would otherwise be very interested in. Kyle tells us he litigates to create other magnets for regulators to go after. Yeah, there's only how many people in the SEC? They can't go after all of us. They also do this to crypto actors who are not obvious competitors. Here's a quick, this goes on. This goes on. Let's go skip over here.
So you've been close with those, John and Kevin.
Yes.
Of course, you must have impressed them a lot.
Yes.
And tell me the most impressive stories you have about how you impressed them. How are you being able to help them, in the best possible way? That they have an equity, an equity partner, both on the token and.
They haven't been sued yet, and there's a reason for that.
Really?
That's the answer.
He's kind of smug when he responds. Oh man.
So you really they're a solver, you're a problem solver also.
Yes. Yeah. I deal with making sure that the SEC and the CFTC have other magnets to go after. Because I'm
But you don't know the competitors much better.
correct.
Yes, it's the smartest way.
Yeah.
That's what I do when we have competitors. We just use all the instruments we have and litigation. Same we do with law firms.
People like litigation can be a tool to competition.
It is a fantastic tool.
It's a fantastic tool.
That's why when you have the knowledge and you're just pulling the strings, make it happen.
Right.
I gotta admit, it's kind of sickening. What's disgusting is seeing him get so aroused sometimes. Litigation against competitors. Oh, he gets red in the face. His jaw drops. Kyle even claims that thanks to his efforts, he has ensured that for Ava Labs, there's no such thing as regulation for what they want to do.
That was why Goon initially signed me up, and since he signed me up, I've ensured that there's no such thing as regulation for what they want to do.
He's not wrong in a way. We're still kind of figuring all this out. So, Amin Gunsera regularly professes his support for other blockchain projects and indicates he wishes their ecosystems the best. Here's so in this section, basically anytime, and he does this often. I mean, he is kind of a security expert, so he does talk about security stuff all the time on Twitter. But anyway, I will say that this isn't an isolated case. But here he offers support for Solana users when they were having their wallets emptied by the Slope wallet exploit, claiming kinship by saying everyone in the space was affected and then offering apparently well-intentioned technical theories on what might be happening, all of which proved wrong. Nobody should be fooled. This tweet thread was created only weeks after Roche Freedman filed a class action targeting the core of the Solana ecosystem, claiming that its sole token is an illegal security. The false narrative Amin is establishing by these attacks hurts everyone in the industry. He should consider that one day he might find himself facing exactly the same arguments that he is establishing in his rush to hurt competitors. Do their actions make AVAX a security? What is most frustrating is that Ava Labs and Roche Freedman are probably the most ruthlessly commercial operation in blockchain. I don't know about that. There are quite a lot of them. Way scammier than even doing things from within the law and what is allowed, which is amply revealed by their secret weaponization of the legal system against competitors. Indeed, the relentless, subtle, and not so subtle promotion of AVAX as an investment opportunity combined with their nefarious tactics are in fact very likely to make AVAX a security. Apparently, he's taken to saying some foul stuff about Ethereum recently, and Ethereum people don't like that stuff. So he's become quite unpopular in the Ethereum community, although he was kind of, I guess you could say more of a mess. He was more of a commentator on Ethereum early on till he launched his, I mean, he even spoke at Ethereum conferences, but I think they stopped inviting him once he started going too hardcore into AVAX and actually launching it. But anyway, Kyle Roach has implored Amin not to mention the price of AVAX so as not to catch the eye of the regulators. However, Amin can't contain himself when there is a major AVAX price rally. During one such rally, December 7, 2021, Amin even encouraged his followers by leading them in an adapted Paul Simon song, "Hello Avalanche, my old friend." Amin Goon sires personal vendettas. It is a great surprise that Ava Labs legal proxy performs work prosecuting Amin's personal vendettas. This looks like a misuse of company resources for personal purposes, which is a serious no-no in the corporate world. His regular use of dark power is also most unexpected for a man who likes to brandish the title of a professor at Cornell University. I don't think that he's ever brandished but he's definitely used his title for personal gain. But I guess if you're implying that he's hurt people, then yeah, I guess he brandished it, because when you brandish something, is like you wield it like a weapon. So he wielded that title as a weapon, as professor at Cornell University. Update: Amin appears to have been removed from Cornell, is no longer a professor. I thought we all knew this already. I thought this was public info, but I guess while writing this, Crypto Leaks figured it out. Yeah, he's no longer there as a professor. First Blood, I mean, he's made enough money on Avalanche. Why be teaching? First Blood, a social media pundit. Amin's first vendetta was against a Turkish social media crypto pundit who said that he heard he was a member of FIDO. So apparently, FIDO is some sort of.
So February 2021. One of the competitors paid a third-party YouTube personality to Goon is Turkish. He's crypto's big in Turkey. The top crypto personality in Turkey is this guy called Emre, Crypto Emre. He comes out and says, "Oh, I've heard that Goon is a member of FIDO, FETO, which is a terrorist organization." And Goon loses his mind, like, you know, his family's in danger now, and he is pissed as fuck at this guy. But problem is, you can't sue him. You don't have jurisdiction over him. So defamation laws in America are real. But so there's two ways to get jurisdiction.
What's up, Carlos? Curve shifter. 2022 taking out the trash. Yeah, it's like the higher the bull market goes, the more people ensnared via NFTs or ICOs or whatever, the more you're going to have a big proportion of, I mean, it's a bigger proportion of shady people to, I guess, the well-intentioned folks out there. But yeah, I don't know who is getting outed here, but crypto is about to find out since everyone is talking about it. I don't know if this is going to be terrible for Roche Freedman and what they're going to be doing, how many people are going to be consulting them in the future. It might actually give them even more attention, but like they have 30 lawyers. It's not just this one clown up there. They have other who seem to know what they're doing, and they're willing to play dirty. And some in the space are willing to get a lawyer who wants to play dirty. That can be a good thing, right? So I don't know if this is good or bad for them. For Amin, I would say it's an avalanche, probably not something quite positive. They're going to have to defend themselves quite fiercely here. So and in a time when they've been suffering and they have less and less nodes coming online, less and less active transactions, of course, that is something that the whole space is happening. This is more like a quarterning as a lot of interest in crypto has died away, of course, due to prices and everything else. Kyle Roach found out that and like 3 Arrows Capital is what I mean by everything else, and plenty of other things that have caused interest to sway and prices to sway, and interest sways when prices sway. Kyle Roach found out that the social media pundit was landing in Miami for a business trip. He used the event to serve him papers and ensnare him in the American legal system. Gotcha! Since they couldn't get this third-party YouTube personality in Turkey, apparently Amin had Roche Freedman ensnare him when he was flying through Miami. The moment was videotaped for Amin's pleasure. Kyle shares that Amin now watches the video once a month, presumably to relive the shock and pain caused by the ambush, revealing troubling tendencies. Yeah, this is kind of weird that Kyle would even know this information. Kyle seems very pleased, and he says that's why Goon loves me.
Landing in Miami, we had people stage at the Miami airport to, as soon as he got through security, tag him. It was the first time in 10 years tag jurisdiction was used in a federal court.
So you are going to do the tag jurisdiction?
Yes.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I think there's something.
Yes. And so, and why does Goon, that video that I got from the guy who tagged him, Goon watches once a month.
That's why I'm saying
Academic biterness. We got another typo, Crypto Leaks. That's number 2. After completing his PhD, Amin spent 7 years as an assistant professor, then transitioned to associate professor, where he has remained for the last 14 years, i.e. arguably over the past 21 years. He has not produced work of sufficient academic merit. You're not going to be on the Charles Hoskinson team, Amin, as judged by his peers, to reach full university professor status. Meanwhile, Amin recently had his PR people update his Wikipedia page to make the dramatic claim that his Karma system, published in 2003, is the first cryptocurrency that uses a distributed mint based on proof of work. Such an achievement, which would predate Satoshi, would surely tip the academic scales in his favor, but unfortunately experts in the field of blockchain who have reviewed the Karma paper say Amin's claims are delusional. Satoshi envy. There's evidence that Amin suffers Satoshi envy. I didn't know this was an ailment. Maybe you have it, maybe I have it. I want to be Satoshi. I wish to have created the first cryptocurrency. I don't know. Maybe that's a real thing. I don't feel like I have it. While developing Avalanche, he anonymously published a paper describing the consensus protocol he planned to use under the pseudonym Team Rocket, which he then drew attention to on social media with a faux rapture, as it would heralded the return of Satoshi Nakamoto, all the time knowing it was his own. Someone dropped this paper on IPFS and some IRC channels yesterday. It describes a new family of consensus protocols that combines the best of Nakamoto consensus with the best of classical consensus. Huge breakthrough. It was only after sustained ridicule on social media that Amin was eventually forced to concede it was his own team that produced the paper. Craig Wright comes into frame. Satoshi envy, academic bitterness, and a taste for dark power perhaps help explain why Amin wanted Kyle Roach to pursue Craig Wright, who claimed to be a part of a small team that invented Bitcoin. Many people fiercely disagree with Craig Wright's claim, but most people would not secretly attack him through the legal system.
I took down one of Goon's biggest arch nemesis. The guy
Got
who
him.
claimed to be Satoshi, Craig Wright.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so I took him down, and Goon loved that.
What did you take it down?
So he claims to be Satoshi. He claims to be the inventor.
Through his attacks on Craig Wright, Kyle Roach boasts how he helped massively devalue the Bitcoin Satoshi Vision blockchain, BSV, by billions of dollars. This will be of interest to Craig Wright and every member of the BSV cryptocurrency community who had sustained losses. So this is something that others are pointing out. This just goes to show some bias in this. Like maybe this is a hurt BSV cryptocurrency community member. Just parroting what I saw today.
Craig Wright claims in 2015 to be Satoshi Nakamoto. Wired magazine comes out. The mind behind Bitcoin, Satoshi Nakamoto, Craig Wright. He says he co-created Bitcoin with Dave Kleiman. Dave Kleiman died in his home
Florida until 2013.
And so, there was holes poked in his story, but no one challenged his throne as Satoshi Nakamoto. Goon, this drove Goon crazy, right?
Goon's his professor.
Craig Wright's not
Copy
fucking
Satoshi Nakamoto's
bullshit. The public's buying his token BSV. He creates a fork of the Bitcoin protocol called Bitcoin Satoshi Vision. It's a top 5 coin. Top 5 coin. This guy's now a billionaire. So what I did is the brother. This is my first foray into litigation finance. The brother called a number of litigation funders. All the law firms turned it down. This case stupid, doesn't make any sense. I saw the case and I said, oh, this guy claimed he created it, Bitcoin, with the dead brother. So I'll sue him for breach of partnership.
I just felt my neighbors upstairs like walking and stomping around. That's the thing about living in a building and you feel literally your whole apartment shaking. And I'm pretty sure these places are supposed to be earthquake proof here in LA, but I guess we haven't had an earthquake here in a while. I don't think since I've lived in this place I've had an earthquake. I felt some earthquakes in some of the other places that I lived. Class actions against competitors. At another venue with Kyle, we trod gently in our conversation, but it quickly became clear that his favorite class actions, this is where we get to the good stuff, were against obvious Ava Labs competitors. When asked, he appeared hardly able to conceal his glee when confirming that Dfinity, the not-for-profit developer of the Internet Computer blockchain, they're not really a blockchain. They used the Gossip Protocol, I believe. They were one of the first to really be announced. I mean, I remember hearing about them right after Ethereum. That was the first project I was excited for back in the day. And the subject of a major Roche Freedman class action was a competitor to Ava Labs and Avalanche.
Definitely, you said.
Yeah, I think. Everything done for us? We're good?
Yeah, it's okay. Thank you. It's probably a competitor to Ava Labs.
Yes, it is.
I'm kind of hungry looking at him eat that bread. I think that was bread. I like that. I like his style, though. He doesn't stop talking, even when he's eating. Mouth open and all. Nothing's going to stop Mr. Freedman. Well, Mr. Freedman's leader, anyway. Kyle's personal nature emerges. Kevin Dutton, a psychologist and writer specializing in the study of psychopathy at the University of Oxford, says that among professionals, lawyers count the second highest proportion of psychopaths because of the opportunities the career affords them to pursue their predilections. Psychopaths crave feelings of power and control over other people. Many display traits of grandiosity, narcissism, sociopathy, and Machiavellianism. We're not saying Kyle is a psychopath, as only a psychologist can classify people. However, we see these traits in his behavior and in the following. Kyle appears to express a disturbing determination to exert power and control over others. So whether he's full-time psychopath or only a psychopath on the wine, I will leave for you to decide.
Most plaintiffs I've offered, they don't like litigating. They want to just file a lawsuit. Settle. File a lawsuit.
Yes.
Thank you, Bev.
You say to a defendant, I don't fucking care about something. I do like it. I'm just a crazy motherfucker and I have resources and I will take you to the end. And taking you to the end it won't be a nuisance settlement. It will be, I've got a piece of paper that says, I own your company. Now, that is power. And that is what I think is a tool that has not been unlocked by very many.
Was it the wine or the power that got to his head? I don't know. But it seems to have thrown him off track a little bit there. That's why he's a little bit off there for sure. Once he starts drinking, he's a little bit loopy. He talks a little bit too much. You know what I'm saying? They knew to take him to the wine place. They knew. Filing class action lawsuits on behalf of Ava Labs. Kyle Roche has been enabled to freely pursue his predilections because of the vast amounts of wealth provided by Ava Labs. He says he can sue people just for the sport of it. Kyle boasts how he can file class actions that attack those competing with Ava Labs, such as Solana Labs and Dfinity Foundation, on behalf of Ava Labs. At the time we collected these recordings, Roche Freedman had already been working on 2 class actions against Dfinity and had filed one, but had not yet filed its first class action against Solana. However, he has now filed a major class action against Solana. Everything he said proved true. Both the class actions filed so far against Solana and Dfinity make accusations that their tokens are illegal securities.
I was fortunate in that I did the Ava Labs deal, and so I have the ability to say, look, it's not about the money anymore for me. It's about taking you guys to trial and the sport of it. And
It's Ava Labs file a complaint against one of their competitors?
no, they have me do that on behalf of the client. Their name is Amber. So I can sue Solana. A plaintiff who purchased Solana.
What about the Definitive?
Oh yeah.
Thank you, FNW. It's nice to have you back. Yeah, it's a new channel. Maybe you might not have been unsubscribed. It's just that I had to start over. So we're starting from basically no subscribers and hoping to build it back up. But it's nice to have the old timers back and coming and finding the show. I think a lot of people are finding the show just by being like, "Oh, what's up with crypto?" Searching, and then that's probably how we're getting the majority of subscribers, because I'm not really promoting the show very much. I remember when I first started, I was like, back when we could buy crypto ads, like on Instagram, I wanted to save the world, Venezuela, India. I was promoting in those places my show before a lot of other YouTube channels even existed. I was just trying to promote the good of blockchain, but now I do very little. I don't really share my content in many places. So, I mean, any help you guys can do would be huge, but I have to admit, it's been a little bit disheartening to have to start over and think about the body of work that I had done with the last channel that I completely lost. But one day at a time, you know. There's something about just using the strength you have at the time you have it, not trying to overreach too much, day by day. But thank you so much, FNW. Nice to really have you back. So, Kyle Roach sees the legal system in funny ways. He leverages the fact that judges and juries don't understand a blockchain. Yeah, they don't.
You mentioned that judges and juries don't really. I mean, you have to explain to them what this whole blockchain is about.
Yes.
But it's always something that you can use to your advantage.
Correct.
Because they don't understand what's going on.
Correct. And so you can.
Manipulate is not the right word, but you can influence.
100%.
Yeah, whatever. He was kind of like tricked with a carrot into giving that response. Obviously, that's what you're doing, is trying to influence a jury to think one way or another. So, whatever. He has a colorful strategy for bamboozling juries and gaining their trust.
What you do is, metaphorically, you pull down your pants and you tell your jury, "Here's my cock. Now you pull down your pants a little bit. Show me your cock." So we're just going to trust each other, and we're going to sit here naked in a room and like, look, I'm going to tell you a fucking story with my pants down. And it's funny. It's funny that I'm telling you a story with my pants down. Isn't it fucking funny that we're sitting here talking about a story in our pants? I want to trust that guy.
Isn't it ironic? I mean, because he was the one with his pants down in this situation. He was the only one with his pants down in this situation. Again, maybe the wine, but no, he's had his pants down for a lot of this, even before. He calls American juries 10 idiots. He feels confident that he can work these idiots to control American class action.
The jury just listens to the story. And that, the fact that 10 idiots control the flow of all the money that happens in American class actions, American, like every case. That is what makes the practice of law.
So you take advantage of the ignorance of the blockchain.
Yes and no.
Earlier, when boasting about the large settlement he believed he could obtain from one of his class actions, he seems to say that a key deciding factor would be the interests of his law firm, i.e., his interests. Shouldn't the decision to settle be based solely on the interests of the class of plaintiffs he is representing?
I don't think there's any reason to settle for less than $500 million to $1 billion. But it's, for me, it's if we get $100 million settlement, we're in the front page of all the legal press, and so it's good for my purpose.
Perhaps it's not surprising that he considers his own interests when deciding how to conduct the case, because he describes one of his plaintiff classes, people who lost money in crypto, as 100,000 idiots.
So now I beat them, or they settle, and they say, all right, fuck Kyle, we settle, $100 million. So I now take $100 million, I go to the court, and I say, hey court, I got $100 million for these 100,000 idiots out there. Give me 30 million, and then I will administer.
Amin and Kyle's ILO, or Class action lawsuits can be very destructive. They impose vicious legal costs on those being attacked that they cannot reclaim, drain attention better used for productive purposes, and can impose terrible stress for years, including on the families of those targeted. Class action frameworks are not intended for use for just the sport of it, or as a strategic tool to competition, as Kyle Roach suggests. They are also not intended as a means for ruthless people to squeeze money out of good people in the mode of patent trolling. I say. That kind of thing should have no place in Western democracies like America. But to Amin and Kyle Roach, litigation is a just-for-profit opportunity. It's the new way of being a lawyer, man. It's the in thing. It's the fad. It's what's in season. They plan to create a new business on Avalanche, which will support the creation of something called, and this is the first I've heard of this, an initial litigation offering, or ILO, a play off ICOs, or initial coin offerings. The idea is that lawyers like Kyle will be enabled to propose new class actions and other litigations en masse. And then blockchain investors will fund the proposed litigation by buying tokens to share in the proceeds obtained through out-of-court settlements and damages awards. In this sociopathic business vision, litigation is just another financial asset. Let's financialize everything in crypto. And they want to provide a framework that makes it easy to mint as much as possible. Kyle appears to spare no thought for the social impact of his plans. For Kyle Roach, litigation is the most uncorrelated asset that exists, period.
In this particular case, you're funding the expenses.
Funding to the $3 million expenses.
It's not much.
For a 50-50 chance at 200 to 300 million, it is the most, I believe, litigation is the most uncorrelated asset that exists, period.
Oh, thank you so much, FNW, with a tip. Let me see. Let me double check. I'll be able to check if you gave me the tip later on. Thank you so much for that. That's insanely kind for the 0.5 ETH. I can't thank you enough. You got ETH when it was only $20 at the time. I hope you've been killing it, man. I hope life has treated you so well in the meantime. Since then, sincerely, thank you. Roche Freedman at a war over its AVAX. Roche Freedman actually began as Roche Freedman, but according to ex-partner Jason Cyrulnik, once it became apparent just how valuable their haul of AVAX tokens and Ava Labs stock was, Kyle Roach and Devin Freedman conspired to expel the older man from the partnership in February 2021 by outvoting him and then keeping his almost 25% share for themselves. Now, former partner Paul Fataruso says he was hired on promise of 2% of the firm's equity, but he was not told of a secret agreement between five of the partners, Kyle Roach, Devin Freedman, Amos Friedland, Nathan Holcomb, and Edward Norman to share the AVAX tokens and Ava Labs stock exclusively between themselves. These claims are now subject to numerous ongoing lawsuits. The moral of the story is be careful in your choice of colleagues. Brad Garlinghouse here of Ripple lit the fuse. Before Kyle Roach founded Roche Freedman and made a pact with Ava Labs, he was a relatively low associate at the law firm Boies Schiller Flexner. They were representing Ripple, who were defending a lawsuit claiming their XRP token was an illegal security. According to Kyle, he proposed to their CEO, Brad Garlinghouse. They created a new law firm that would specialize in suing others in crypto, using exactly the same kind of tactics that were being used against Ripple. Kyle asked that Brad become his angel investor, and curiously, Brad agreed. One might have expected he would want to see less of this kind of litigation across the industry. For whatever reason, Brad Garlinghouse invested in Kyle Roach and supported him on his current path. It certainly didn't save him from the SEC. Ripple's current travails might be a bad omen for Mean. Remedies and conclusion. For anyone who cares about crypto and the blockchain industry, Crypto Leaks case number 3, this one, should be a watershed moment. The movement was created by visionaries, theoreticians, engineers, and true believers, people with integrity. But the value creation brought in cowboys and ruthless opportunists who are just out to make money, whatever it takes. These people don't care about crypto and blockchain and what it stands for. They only care about themselves. We have had enough bad people in crypto already. Three Arrows Capital had highly vocal and popular leaders who played Pied Piper hyper to the masses, but behind the scenes, they ran their hedge fund like a Ponzi scheme. Those same masses have now lost billions that they thought were safe in crypto, third typo, crypto banks. People in crypto deserve an industry where not everything is smoke and mirrors, and where they can trust, what's the politician thing? They can trust other people's integrity. We must demand change. Cornell University. Amin has traded relentlessly on his professor at Cornell status, using Cornell's brand to convince the masses that he primarily cares about the advancement of blockchain science and has special technical skills. In fact, his real modus operandi is more Professor Moriarty, who tries to get Ava Labs and Avalanche ahead through clandestine attacks on competitors that involve secretly weaponizing the legal industry as well as the pursuit of personal vendettas. Cornell must decide whether it wants its reputation wielded for profit by someone who seemingly operates without a moral compass. He uses their brand to cloak himself, which directly supports his deceptive self-promotion and mask. But he did teach at Cornell. Oh, COVID. There you are. I'm kidding. He did teach at Cornell, and academics always, and people of university who went to their Ivy Leagues, love to talk about where they went to. So it's not so surprising he's doing it. But anyway, he uses their brand to cloak himself, which directly supports his deceptive self-promotion and masks his Machiavellian schemes, which damages individuals and their families and the wider crypto and blockchain community and industry. Cornell will not want to be part of this charade. And then he shows his pinned tweet. It means pinned tweet here, which reflects how he has branded himself since launching Ava Labs and Avalanche. So many academics forget that our goal is not to publish papers, it's to change the world. In the realm of traditional startup companies, venture capitalists used to only invest in one project in each segment so that they were never exposed to the conflict of interest involved in backing competing companies. Crypto changed all of that, with some venture capitalists like Andreessen Horowitz and Polychain investing widely into native blockchain tokens, seeing that a rising tide was floating all boats, and to make sure they had holdings in a few that would make it big. Now the check has come due. And with the release of this report, some will find that they have unknowingly funded a project making unacceptable, clandestine, secretive, industry-damaging, clearly immoral attacks on competitive projects that they also backed. For example, both Andreessen Horowitz and Polychain recently threw massive resources behind Solana Labs, a key target of Roche Freedman and Ava Labs. They must now do the honorable thing and help protect the industry and projects that have made them so much money by vocally disowning Ava. Lawyers working for Roche Freedman. The legal system is a fundamental pillar of any democratic society. Its integrity is something that we must cherish and protect. But Roche Freedman has perverted the role of a law firm, subverting and weaponizing the legal system, thereby promoting the value of blockchain tokens and stock owned by a few of its partners. It undermines everything that makes the legal profession honorable. Lawyers working at Roche Freedman who were previously unaware of this behavior will not wish to condone it, except a leader that lacks a moral compass or work for a law firm with a hidden purpose. Most lawyers do not go through law school to end up living Better Call Saul. Nice. The American Bar Association. The mission statement of the American Bar Association is to serve equally our members, our profession, and the public by defending liberty and delivering justice as the national representatives of the legal profession. They advocate for the profession as a whole and the thousands of lawyers who work with integrity within society's understandings of what being a lawyer entails. The ABA works to increase public understanding of and respect for the rule of law, the legal process, and the role of the legal profession. This is entirely incompatible with defending those people who have decided to follow a completely different way than being a lawyer by weaponizing and perverting the legal system for personal gain, which is also an assault on liberty and justice. Like, if you're gonna do that stuff, just don't. I hope Kyle stops drinking wine at the very least after this. Expensive bottles of wine. American regulators, SEC, CFTC, Roche Freedman and Ava Labs are attempting to make fools out of regulators through the nefarious weaponization of the legal system. They wish to manipulate regulators by drawing them to competitors and away from their own activities. This behavior will undermine everyone's faith in the fairness of the regulatory system. Good actors will fear that the unscrupulous competitors have bought unscrupulous lawyers using hundreds of millions of dollars worth of crypto assets. I mean, duh. That's what's happening. And that they are misusing the regulatory system to paint them as a target for regulators, both to harm them and distract the regulators from their own wrongdoings. Ava Labs shareholders and executives. According to the evidence shared in this case study, Amin has used company resources to pursue his personal vendettas, which may now result in reprisals that directly undermine shareholder value. This is a clear breach of fiduciary duty. When any leader runs out of control in this way, it is time for them to go. For example, John Woo, the president, could be made CEO. And Amin Gun could be removed from his post to restore confidence. This will enable the organization to reset its reputation and proceed in a more business-like manner. Developers building on Avalanche. Once upon a time, those driving the blockchain project were pursuing dreams. They met and discussed designs. They cooperated and collaborated, and they were passionate about what was possible. But it wasn't long before the opportunists came hunting, and they learned how to dress themselves in the clothes of those they joined. There are many projects in the blockchain space today which often have dramatically different visions and approaches to research and development and marketing. Some also have different moral compasses. Tech has always been highly competitive, but the winners do not generally compromise their integrity. When the smoke eventually clears, it will be seen the authenticity and passion really count. Developers will prefer to work on a platform where they can be proud of the team ecosystem and ethos. Those that wish to stay with Avalanche will demand change. Crypto press. Most participants in the blockchain industry do not realize quite how focused the crypto press is on promoting vested interests. Oh, I know. We know on this channel. It may come as a surprise to many that not only did the crypto press fail to report on the previous cases here of crypto leaks, case number 1 and 2, but some parts actively suppressed information about them. For example, to address the lack of reporting, we recently attempted to purchase a paid press release on Cointelegraph, as others do, but were mysteriously blocked, presumably to protect those our cases reference. Meanwhile, Roche Freedman were able to purchase a paid press release on Cointelegraph freely, which they then used to distribute misleading statements to millions of users through Google News feeds. Our revealing expose of Arkham Intelligence, case number 2, was not reported on at all by the crypto press. The expose has led to a defamation lawsuit being filed against Arkham and New York Times, but this has only been reported on by the mainstream by Politico. Today, DeFi and CeFi organizations, once lauded unquestionably by the crypto press, have caused multi-billion-dollar losses to retail investors, and it is time to move on toward fairer planes. This is the only way our industry will ever reach maturity. We ask the crypto press to report objectively on this case investigation. The videos speak for themselves and tell a clear story that everyone in crypto needs to be aware of. And now, with this video being recorded, it will live for all time on the Odyssey Library blockchain. Those being sued by Roche Freedman, because it's automatically synced. So all of these videos we showed and everything will be synced there as well. With the release of Crypto Leaks case number 3, those being sued by Roche Freedman know the true measure of their adversary. They should respond accordingly and take the fight to the enemy. They should not settle. They must fight their corner and make their case together. They can weaken their adversary and can help make blockchain a better case. So that's basically the big drama today that's going around. Avax should be shunned, says Pothead. Brad, can't comment on the validity of the slew of allegations in here. Yes, that's right, Knife Catcher. I was about to show that, actually, but I can unequivocally say that I have never spoken. I was going to show that right here, actually. Yeah, Brad had his comment to say, which is what knifecatcher.crypto was saying here in the chat. He said, I can't comment on the validity of the slew of allegations in here, but I can unequivocally say that I have never met or spoken to, much less invested, as was claimed by Crypto Leaks in Kyle Roach in that segment that we covered earlier. So there's probably, it's hard to know what the truth is here for sure, and there are some of this might have just been a lot of embellishment, or at least some level of embellishment if Brad is to be believed, and some of the other commentators on this. Amin's personal statement. So Amin had to come out and write something about all of this as this broke out. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Amin said, my statement about the Crypto Leaks lies. Ordinarily, we would not make a statement about a scurrilous hit piece on disreputable websites like Crypto Leaks. To dignify such an obvious fraud on us with a response usually makes no sense. Everyone should be able to see right through it. I am disheartened to see people in the crypto space pay any attention to such obvious nonsense. These claims evidently came out about when Kyle Roach, a lawyer at a firm we retained in the early days of our company, tried to impress a potential business partner by making false claims about the nature of his work for Ava Labs. Let me tell you the truth about the lies that stood out the most to me. The allegations on this site are categorically false. Ava Labs believes in transparency and facing the world head on, not through behind the scenes dealing or activity. Neither I nor anyone else at Ava Labs ever directed Roche in his selection of cases. We do not receive materials or information from him, and we do not entrust our legal affairs to him. Roche himself confirmed this in a public statement. He has only ever represented Ava Labs in a defensive capacity in a couple of run-of-the-mill corporate contract disputes and myself in a libel case. His firm is one of more than a dozen law firms we employ for matters relating to tax, corporate, regulatory, and human resources. Roche, well, you can't hire Roche now for the libel against you now, obviously. Roche has filed all their lawsuits independently of us. For instance, we learned about the Solana lawsuit only through the press. We were livid that he was suing another project and attempted to persuade him to drop the case. Ava Labs general counsel went the extra mile to write an article debunking Roche's lawsuit as meritless. Roche is not responsible for regulatory matters for Ava Labs. We independently have good relationships with the regulatory community, with policymakers, and with law enforcement. We hold ourselves to high standards and believe they recognize that. Roche is not on our executive team, and we do not look to him for advice outside of the few small matters where he used to represent us. He has no say in our business decisions, legal decisions, how the company is run, or anything to do with the Avalanche protocol. Except, I mean, he had a roommate in Miami, I don't know if he still does, who happened to be the COO of Ava Labs. I think that is where a lot of this was happening in the background and where the influence was coming from the Avalanche team and over to Roche and his legal team was basically when they were roommates together. So he has handled only handled only a few cases of minor importance for us in the area of competence. Let me be absolutely clear, says Amin. We do not engage in or support any underhanded tactics suggested in the article or the video clips. We believe in what we are building. We do not need secret pacts or behind-the-scenes intrigue. It is telling that the allegations surfaced on a disreputable website as a third article in a series where the first article alleges a grand conspiracy by the New York Times against the crypto project, and the second alleges a multi-billion-dollar price-fixing scheme by FTX against the same project's token. I mean, I actually kind of believe both of those. But whatever, that's me. Anyway, we will carry on building and otherwise working hard for the blockchain community. We encourage everyone to put aside pettiness, personal attacks, and fraudulent lies. Let's keep building together. Sincerely, Amin. So there you have it, folks. That was the grand tale, the story of Roche Freedman and his possible influence in when it came to protecting Avalanche and creating a magnet, basically, where regulators like the SEC and the CFTC would not come after Ava Labs because instead they were focused on other projects. I don't know that I believe on that. I believe that. I'm pretty sure the folks at the SEC are looking at things like market capitalization, and you have like AVAX at the 17th spot. They're not like, oh, we don't have enough manpower because we're busy looking at a coin that's the number 120 coin on CoinMarketCap, which we know that the SEC has gone after smaller projects. Why not focus on the bigger projects? Maybe they're making cases on them and so on. But anyway, it seems to be the case that a lot of the bigger projects have not had litigation or come after them. Maybe they're more decentralized or something like that, but there's a lot that's not being covered here. I don't know that we can just say that this is simply to create a magnet for the SEC. A little bit of a reach there. It does seem, because of a libel suit, which Amin himself expressed in this letter, that he does appear to be somewhat sensitive, right? He cares about his reputation, and he could say that that's because if he wants the AVAX token to succeed, so if his reputation suffers, because of some slanderous comments made or whatever, that he has he must defend that in order to protect the token price and investors. But it does seem he cares somewhat about that. So maybe he did feel like he was really wronged by this YouTuber in Turkey, as big as they were, since apparently Turkey has a lot going for it in regards to crypto. I'm not sure about that, but a lot is being covered here and a lot of finger pointing, some of which, I mean, again, it's hard to say that there isn't any evidence when you had Kyle himself spewing all this stuff out there. There was no evidence here from Amin saying anything nefarious himself or any videos of himself. He does seem to be the main target of this, which is interesting when the one who's saying the most egregious things was Kyle. So we'll see what surely this is going to evolve into something else here in crypto. and I will follow if there's any sort of major development of this. But yeah, the token Avalanche was down like 11% at one point. It's recovered as well today. Let's see where it's at right now. Yes, it's continuing to climb today, just like the rest of the market. So it's not destroying the value of Avalanche in any sort of way, these claims or anything. But at least now you know and you're informed of what's going on, so you can chat about it on Twitter if that's what you want to do. Just some other things as we begin to wrap up. Of course, Eminem and Snoop Dogg performed at the VMAs at MTV's Video Music Awards, and they I thought it was pretty great. Snoop Dogg comes out with a giant smokable marijuanas that were packed into this giant smokable marijuanas, and Eminem was sitting next to him. He seems to have gotten secondhand high from this marijuana. Comments, as I wasn't, said, couldn't look any more lame if they tried. Do not use Reddit 123 said, so it's like the gorillas, but worst. AMM92800 said, there is no community cringier than the crypto community. I mean, like, there was a video recently making the rounds. I believe it was of Vitalik speaking on stage back in like 2018 or 2019, and he was doing his own rap. This surfaced on Twitter over the weekend, and people were making fun of Vitalik. I mean, like, I get why that was cringy, but this wasn't that cringy to me. I'm not gonna lie. Eminem keeps getting worse, says Tipingo. I haven't seen much of him recently, but I thought he can't have been better than much better than this. Considering some of the rap I thought it was great. I thought it was rhythmically really well done. It was performed quite well, and it was fun. It was fun. I wonder how much they got paid. Follow the money. But yeah, obviously trying to shield their own apes. Whatever. But yeah, you have NFTs have been plunging in value. OpenSea, the most popular marketplace for NFTs, has had 99% lower in regards to volume for transactions since May 1st, according to DApp Radar. They've gone from $402.75 million worth of volume on that date to yesterday down to $5 million worth of NFT transactions. You also had those apes, those Bored Ape Yacht Club apes, dropping by huge amounts in regards to the top. And I mean, these were, if you're talking about dollar value, they were worth a lot more back then at the height of the NFT froth than right now when volumes are dropping off by a lot. But still, you've had a volume drop off from not May 1st there. It says 153.7 ETH for the cheapest Bored Ape. It was actually on April 30th that we had hit that, according to charts. 153.7 ETH back on April 30th, down to now 53% ETH. I mean, a 53% drop to only 72.5 ETH. So massive drop off there. And this Cointelegraph article says the NFT bubble is bursting. I think it's been bursting for a long time now. It should not be a surprise. But still on MTV, so doing all right, I guess. I guess they were trying to pump it up a little bit more. I don't know that it's done much. BendDAO, apparently what you can do with BendDAO is you can take your NFTs that might have some value like these apes, and you can take a loan. You basically lock them up as collateral, and you can take out a loan in ETH. So you get loaned a bunch of ETH. It says here, last week, BendDAO, a decentralized autonomous organization that enables NFT owners to collateralize their digital collectibles to take loans in ETH worth 30 to 40% of the NFT's floor price, voted to change protocol code to make their NFT collateral more liquid, because you had a situation where ETH was climbing in value and you had NFTs dropping in value, and this was making collateral illiquid. You had more and more people being called, so they basically changed the threshold from 95% to 70% in the latest vote. But this seems like a real losing situation for BendDAO and the ETH that they have there, because I struggle to see NFTs climbing to the recent froth that we've gotten, at least for a long time. Something that I've imagined. I think they'll come down to more affordable levels, but just like baseball cards aren't huge and mainstream still, I just had a feeling NFTs were going to be dropping off, and they'll continue to. I personally don't think that the NFT price floor for some of these major ones is still for a while lower. And when it comes to some NFTs, they'll never have some sort of value, because I mean, put it that they have personal value, right? Like I might want to collect them because I like having my own collection. I have them on the blockchain. There are reasons you might want to own these, but when it comes to flipping them to make more money, it seems like a very risky proposition, let alone allowing them to be collateral to give away something that likely will have more value or climbing value soon, like ETH, in my opinion. Just seems like a really scary proposition, but I don't know. Maybe I'm completely wrong and I'm missing something there about Vendettas. What's going on, Double R? Thank you for joining us. Omar, he says. And I did want to wrap up by showing this video that was surfacing and being shared around the weekend of the Federal Reserve president in Minneapolis, Neil Kashkari. He had come out and talked about central bank digital currencies. He'd been asked about what he thought about central bank digital currencies. And he had some stuff to say that made it seem like he's really not interested in it and he can't be convinced. And I think this is a good thing because he goes on and accepts that the main reasons to have a central bank digital currency are financial service controls, automated tax paying, and these would not be popular with American citizens. Check it out.
I'm pretty skeptical. I keep asking anybody at the Fed or outside of the Fed to explain to me what problem this is solving. I can send anybody in this room $5 with Venmo right now. Right? No, seriously. So what is it that a CBDC could do that Venmo can't do? And all I get is a bunch of hand waving. I get a bunch, well, maybe it's better for financial inclusion. Maybe it's better for cross-border remittances. Maybe. Is there any evidence that it is? And, they say, well, what about China? China's doing it. Well, I can see why China would do it. If they want to monitor every one of your transactions, you could do that with the central bank digital currency. You can't do that with Venmo. If you want to impose negative interest rates, you could do that with the central bank digital currency. You can't do that with Venmo. And if you want to directly tax customer accounts, you could do that with the central bank digital currency. You can't do that with Venmo. So I get why China would be interested. Why would the American people be for that?
Yeah. Curb Shifter says the launch of FedNow service is between May and July of 2023. Yeah, I wonder how they're going to be structuring some sort of central bank digital currency in relation to FedNow. FedNow basically just being quicker remittances and all of that. It seems like they might be moving away from central bank digital currencies and more towards that. Although they're still doing research for CBDCs and they might, I don't know, that the US might want to launch something like that. But of course, they would have to do some sort of pilot as well, like you saw in China, do some sort of tests with central bank digital currency. So we'll probably find out well in advance before we have something like that being pushed toward us. But I can see why people at the Fed, maybe not Neil here, might want to survey the public and have this instant tax payments and everything else. And again, it doesn't matter what the American people want because you're an independent organization that is adjusting monetary policy at your own whims. So it's not like it really matters, Neil. So I don't know if this is just a piece of propaganda, what he actually thinks, but it seems like something that they, in fact, might want to use because it would allow their tooling to be much more powerful. And that's exactly what the Fed would want, in my opinion. Anyway, scary if we were to get something like that. But it's nice to see that there's at least some pushback from within the Fed, perhaps, if that's the case. So we'll finish up there with our quote of the day here by the great Andreas Antonopoulos. Bitcoin is not unregulated. It is regulated by algorithm instead of being regulated by government bureaucracies, uncorrupted. I hope you've enjoyed the show. I hope you've enjoyed the news and the goings on and the coverage that I've done today. As always, try to bring you what is happening to make sure that you know and that it's documented and you can make the best decision for yourself. I love each and every one of you. Thank you so much for your support, undying support in some cases, and I'll keep trying to do what I can for you guys. Take care. Much love, everyone, and stay cryptic. Peace.